right, everyone, it's 1:30, and so we are going to call the Cumberland County Finance meeting to order, and we will begin with a roll call, please, Lauren.
Commissioner Nieder.
I am here.
Fashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
We will open the floor up to public comment. Is there anyone in the room wishing to make public comment at this time? Lauren, is anyone appear to be online? If you are and would like to do so, please use the raise your hand feature. Nope. Okay, hearing none, we'll have no public comment today. We will need to approve next the minutes of the meeting from November 20th.
I will move to approve.
I'll second.
Seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we go into the Agriculture Extension quarterly update. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
We have Donna Shear and Ann Miller with us.
And thank you for inviting us every quarter to keep you updated on all the impacts that Extension is making in the community. I wanted to start with an impact that you two, Commissioner Niederer and Commissioner Fashi, had on a young man at the 4-H banquet. You spoke to a young man named Jackson about milk and at the school lunches.
Yes.
He was thrilled that you asked his opinion, and he went back to his club and talked about how he got to talk to someone in government and they listened to what he had to say. So
That's cool. Donna, thank you.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And that's just that 4-H program. You just never know the impact that you're going to have on the youth that we meet. And we're just so pleased to be expanding that program and have an active teen council there now that planned that event as well. So thank you for this. We're going to move on from youth to seniors. Our Master Gardener program, they're active. We have 102 volunteers, 28 new trainees who have started the program. So they'll be in a several-month learning program before they go out and start educating the public. This therapeutic horticulture group is so very active, and in 2022 we recognized them here at a meeting for a Search for Excellence award they won through the National Master Gardener program. They've spent this week, and they'll spend every week up until Christmas at 6 different senior centers. So this week they've been to the Salvation Army in Carlisle. They're going to Lifetime Adult Daycare in Lemoyne, Big Spring Senior Center in Newville, Mechanicsburg Senior Center, and then the Messiah Adult Daycare in Mechanicsburg. And they're doing holiday arrangements. And the whole premise of this is for them to use fine motor skills and really hone in their fine motor skills, and then take something that they can have at their room or in their apartment that will be festive, and they can think of, you know, that camaraderie that they had. So that's just something that I think is so touching that we do. Another program, we have Amy Santorelli, our nutrition links educator, is still working with the ELECT program. So she's working with teens who are parents or pregnant. She has a following of 35 teens who are learning from her how to stretch the food budget and create nutritious meals during pregnancy, and then nutritious meals for your child and you to be able to, be a contributing member of this family unit. And these 35 folks are not obligated to come to these classes. She has them in Zoom and in person. And this is just saying the testament to our youth who want to learn and, become better grown-ups. Our Our admin said that we still have lots of water test kits that are going out. That's one of the main things people are coming into the office for. And that's actually one of the main topics on our website is water quality. So that's something that Cumberland County folks are very interested in. Our water quality educator, Andy Yencha, is going to provide a drinking water workshop that will have water tests available, and he'll be able to talk to them what the test means. And he has those set up for the beginning of the new year. And we'll let you know when those dates are, how many people are actually attending those. He's also working with the Department of Ag. And usually we think about farmers and nutrient management, but homeowners apply a lot of nutrients to their lawns to have that green lawn or to have flowers look just so. Andy's working on a urban nutrient management guide for homeowners. And we'll let you know when that comes out. He's working with the Department of Ag right now with that and the water quality team, and looking for, if you know some folks that might like to help with that or give him some ideas, always take that feedback to him. Okay. And then he was very excited that the Cumberland Valley Woodlot Owners Association has restarted. He hosted a meeting for them just last week in our Cumberland office. And these are property owners who want to learn how to manage woodlots. And they'll share information and get lots of information from the extension services. And Natalie Marioni is getting her new training class for the Master Watershed Stewards. That will start in March. And she's working on live stake plantings. And those are, a live stake is a piece of a shrub that is in bud but hasn't broke open yet. Usually you harvest them in February, and you can plant those directly into impaired stream banks, and that will help prevent erosion. She has a nursery with the program in Franklin County. She's working to put 2 nurseries for live stakes here in Cumberland County and is in the final planning with those. And then in February, she'll be hosting workshops and planting waterways. It's a fabulous project to do. I've seen it work in my neighborhood, but it's amazing of how many people you can get to just put stakes in the stream, and then in the spring they're leafing out and keeping the water and the nutrients where they need to be. And lastly, Miranda Harple is our business and economic specialist, and she's working with Department of Ag, their new business development center. So if you know anyone starting an ag-related business, like with maybe a secondary product like ice cream, cheese, or something coming off the farm, have them reach out to our office for Miranda, and she can help them, with getting started and answering those important questions of, where do you even begin?
Do you happen to know offhand if Miranda is connected to CADIC at all, the economic development group here? Because I think that could be really beneficial for the 2 of them to be partnered. I can direct the CADIC folks to reach out to Miranda, or I just didn't know if you were aware, Donna, if she was or not.
I am not, so that could be a great connection. So if you could make that for us, that would be great.
Yeah, they also, because there might be a good element as well, because they have tourism grants, and there is a role for agritourism in our county. And so I think that may, or could potentially be, depending on what folks are trying to do.
Right.
Could be a good connection. So I will have them reach out to Miranda.
Perfect. And we have folks on her team also that work with ag tourism. And another thing that I failed to mention, Sonia Nace is our community mental health first aid educator. She's stationed in Dauphin County, but is happy to come down to Cumberland County and work with any folks with farm stress programs or with mental health first aid. In Perry County, she met with all the department heads and did some mental health first aid. So she wanted me to make sure to reach out to you to let you know that she can provide those types of trainings here if you have a group or someone.
Connect her with Annie Strike, our MHIDD person. Yeah. Donna, do you know how to get a hold of Annie? I can connect
if you connect, that would be great. And then my Annie and I are in the process of working. One of the things on our MOU was that we would do a service coordination meeting for the Allen Road department. And we're working on that to have it in a late February, March timeframe. And we have folks to come in and talk about water quality issues, give a crops update, a poultry update, especially as how it relates to avian influenza, and then some volunteer opportunities to work with youth and seniors. And we can let you know when that date is as well. And we'll be working with Kirk and his folks with that. And I'll give it to Annie to give her operations update.
Yeah, we're just, I'm really grateful to your staff that's been working kind of the last minute snafu we had with the MOU on transfer of staff. So we should have that in the next, hopefully 5-7 days, and get that back to you to sign so that you'll retain 2 of your employees, and we'll transition as they are ready to transition or through attrition. So about it.
Again, thank you for your support. And if you have any questions for us, just feel free to always reach out.
No, I think it's just interesting to me to hear some of these things and where we're not making connections. So you had mentioned too that Miranda also has some folks that work with agritourism. I know I had gotten a Penn State newsletter that I had signed up for that was agritourism related, and I forwarded that to the tourism group at KDIC. But like that connection, and then the connection with MH, I appreciate you working with Kirk to do that kind of dive at Allen Road. But if there's something else that comes of that, where connections can be made to make the most of the services that you're doing, or just even expand the network, or that you can help, these organizations that we're working with. I appreciate, if there's a way that we can maybe just continue those conversations so that we're not missing anything. Because I know, I don't want to say it's a hidden secret, but some of it is a hidden secret as to all the good work that's happening.
Sometimes Annie and I look at each other like, we do that? Like, okay. But in other counties, I'm working with other departments to make sure that like our health and human services areas know all of the great work we have with our food families and community group. So we're trying to meet and exchanging ideas there. So
we need to figure that out here too. And
could we present at one of the department head meetings?
Yes.
Would that be like
absolutely
down the road?
Yes. Yeah. Like those are the kind of things that I feel like we need to just, things are great now, but I'll say they're good, but 2025, like let's line up these things to really get things moving on, all cylinders. And I think that would be fantastic.
absolutely. Thank you.
Who would the chief clerk be the best? Okay.
Yep. I was looking
That's
for
good.
Angela. She's got in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Back, yeah. So it's already on her notes, I would imagine.
I know, she's calling us. I'm afraid we spoke too much.
We'll work that out.
That would be great. And anything else like that that you think of, please just reach out. The more we can integrate the delivery of all of this is just, I think it benefits both sides, your area and the area. Absolutely. So. Perfect.
So, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Stoner on the agenda. Katie Zimmerman, are you going to join as well? You're part of this process. And looking at discussing the authorization to advertise a strategic plan for a proposal.
Okay, so as the board's aware, we've had some informational discussion about long-term planning for the county development strategic plan. Katie and I took that information back, put together the RFP that the board has. So I think today's purpose is to have any discussion on that. Any edits, corrections, modifications need to be made with the RFP. The board then, at your discretion, can take action on that, whether or not to move it ahead. If you choose to move it ahead, Katie and I will be working with PennBid to put it out for a review. And there's also a schedule included in the RFP of trying to get everything done within a timely manner. Our goal is really to get solicitations back from contractors so that we get price quotes that we can include in the grant application, which is due
End of February.
Right. So we want to hit that deadline so we can put it into with a grant to DCD through the Municipal Assistance Program, which, as you're aware, we had DCD representatives come in with us.
Right. And Kirk, I appreciate you and Katie laying out the timeline because I think it is important. These things have a way of getting extended where you can't control certain aspects of that. So you have given us adequate time, I believe, to read through. I know I followed up with questions and edits, and I saw that you had that edits were made into the document that was shared. So I am comfortable with the document that's before me to move ahead. The only comment I would make is that according to the timeline, there was some discussion amongst the board and with you, Kirk, about maybe we were asking too much out of this bid, but perhaps, and that vendors, there was a concern shared that a vendor couldn't, meet all of the expectations. I guess my comment would be, when you're talking about the pre-bid conference, I think that seems like it would be a great opportunity to have those discussions to frame that the bidders should provide us with what they can do best for us and how they see that happening. Would you agree, or is
So a lot of times when we're doing RFPs like this, and even construction projects like on bridges, we'll have pre-bid conferences to make sure that everybody's on the same page of what we're looking for. A lot of times these meetings, they'll hold their cards close to the vest, but after the meeting they'll follow. And I've never had any issues with talking to vendors ahead of time as we're putting in this information forward for us, so to make sure that they have the right information to give us a competitive proposal. So I think that is a great opportunity to discuss what's going on, put any questions they may have on.
And I know it, and I think that that's important because this certainly isn't something that we do every day. And in fact, I don't know when the last time, was it 2005, that something like this was undertaken? The county's changed pretty significantly in that time period. So I think being as open to what people, I think there's a whole lot of contractors out there or consultants that have skill sets that I'm not aware of, and what they can bring to bear, have them share that with us. So I'm comfortable with what I see in this. Jean, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I read it and I let Angela know that I was okay with it, but one of the things that I really liked about the RFP is that I started scribbling questions and then I would read and I go, oh, that's the answer. And that happened repeatedly in that document. And I appreciate the time and thought that went into it. Over the summer, CCAP had a leadership seminar, and I was there, and Holly Sherman was there, and other people from other county governments. And there was a presentation on strategic planning and how important it is to counties And one of the things they talked about is making sure that you know what your values are. What are your values as county government? And I know that I have said this over and over again, is that it will help our department heads, it will help our people to know how to move forward. I think this is critical to the success of this county over the next 5 to 10 years. It's really getting us into forward thinking and being good planners. And I know we have good planners, Kirk, but but I appreciate it very much, very much.
And Katie is a part of this.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
the other real significant component in this, if utilized correctly, this will really aid us in seeking grants and funding
Yes.
that we have not, that this board has not to previously, even sought. So I think it's very important that we get this
Yes.
right.
One of the first things that Katie said when she arrived here, we started working through the grant process. She said, okay, so you can't just be like, oh, we'll go after this grant. Like, you have to have that 2 to 3 year plan so that you can be competitive in applying for that grant. And so it's just another terrific piece of this puzzle.
Yeah, and I think leveraging the grant to get the strategic plan
Yes, right.
sets us up for success, because then DCDED is on board and a part of the process as well. And it'll be really helpful to have it to point to say, hey, we need money for this because.
Agreed.
Yes.
And I think we've got so many conflicting, to this point, we have so many conflicting interests battling in Cumberland County, the preservation, the development. So I think it's very important. And I want to thank you both for taking time and putting this together. So Gary, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a number of things I want to state here. So this is the concept of revisiting strategic planning is something that actually I could be very excited about. It was always our intent to revisit the practice that we had put first in place in 2005, that was referenced earlier. That was for commissioner-led but organization-wide strategic planning. So that actually was a pretty dynamic undertaking at its time, if pretty fundamental. It resulted in a 10-year vision statement that was used, and it was also used for the grant applications we were doing at the time to provide some guidance. 10 years, a long period of time, so we are well overdue on this. Unfortunately, that effort was not sustained because of a lack of support by subsequent boards of commissioners. So in theory, this should be a really good thing. So I'm really very pleased to see that we're talking about undertaking serious strategic planning. But as I've outlined to everybody already, I have some serious concerns about this proposal. I spelled them out in conversations with Katie and Kirk, also in a meeting of the group that's involved in this. I think this as it's written has some real problems. And I think the problem is that, how do I say this? It's well intended, but I think we've got way too many things mixed into this proposal. It is extremely comprehensive, but it's also a mix of high level and in the weeds input. It's widely ambitious, but it's a bit confusing. And my real concern here in general is that I think you're going to get a lot of consultants who are just going to take a pass on this. We're not going to get the type of bids that we're hoping we're going to get because of the way it's structured. And I'll go into a little bit of detail. The biggest obstacle on this really is we're combining two very different initiatives into one big initiative, and that creates a bit of a mess. So I've already mentioned.
So Gary, I am going to interrupt you.
Yes, of course you are.
You were asked.
You always do.
Of course, because you. Please.
Buckle in, because the crazy train is about to leave the station. Just
So,
buckle in.
Gary, you were asked for feedback. You were asked to provide edits to the document. You were asked to help usher this. People reached out to you. They indicate that you have some experience in this and that you may have some insight to offer. And this has been a process that you didn't engage in
That's false.
until, well,
That's
did you
absolutely
provide
false.
did you provide edits to the document
I met
as
with
requested?
Katie. I provided verbal edits, and I reinforced those in a detailed email in which I stated section 7 and 8 represent a wholly different initiative. That is an edit. When I say remove those two sections, that is an edit. Okay. I didn't sit down and rewrite the damn thing
So
and remove things.
you can
So
suggest removing those two items, but I fail to see that that's necessary if we don't get any consultants that choose to bid on this, then we will have to rework it. And if
it's
a
not that you won't get
consultant
any.
comes back,
It's
if a
not-
consultant comes back and they don't feel that this needs to be handled in this manner, it needs to be split up into phases. This is a starting point to see where we go from here. And I think it's a good one. It begins the conversation and it gets us moving in the right direction.
Well, I'm going to finish my remarks if I'm allowed here. So my point was section 7 and 8 represent something we had talked about at the beginning of the year, which is called STAMP, the strategic, I can't remember what the acronym is. It's the old early intervention program. And that was going to be the big end all and be all. And then that went away for reasons we don't know. Now it's been wedged into a strategic planning initiative. And frankly, it doesn't fit. Now, what you could do, if I can finish my comment, is it would make sense to separate those two and just put out two bids and let people who can qualify for one bid on that one. If they can qualify to bid on both, let them bid on both. But my concern here is that you're going to narrow the field of consultants who are able to bid legitimately down to a point where our options are extremely limited. So this is not a hard fix. And to say that I haven't been engaged is not true. I was in those meetings. I offered that. I've offered input in writing. So
Gary, you're basically saying if it's not your way, it's not acceptable.
No, that's exactly what you are saying. That is exactly what you are saying.
No, I'm absolutely not. We've all been working on this. And so the issue, when you talk about STAMP, this is in fact working collaboratively with DCD. This is part of, they don't, reference that as much anymore, but this is part of us continuing that same, it didn't go away. This is part of that process. So, for you to say it's widely ambitious.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being widely ambitious.
I don't think it's widely ambitious, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't think it's widely ambitious. I think it has to be at the scope that it's at because strategic planning has been neglected for the 22 years you've been here, Gary.
I'm the one who initiated it. We did it.
I'm still talking and you're still going blah, 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 because this is another example of you not engaging. You don't want to engage because it's not going your way. You pulled this with the ARPA funding from last year where you said, oh, I don't like the process. Now it's full of problems. You're doing it again because you fancy yourself a management geek and you want to be in charge of this process and it's just not going your way. So you're either on board and helping and moving things forward or you're not. I can go either way.
I've already stated, I think this has great possibilities. Kirk has done a good work here and Katie. The problem is you have a proposal that is written by committee. And that's why you have this mix, this curious mix of high level requirements and down in the weeds micromanagement type of requirements.
That sounds like paralysis by analysis so that you can vote no and then later go, I voted no because I don't want the county spending money on that.
Well, you will do on the risk.
I think that's where you're headed. So you're either on board or you're not, but the RFP, two of us have agreed that it's okay. So you're either on board or you're not. And I'm telling you today, you vote no, you are not sabotaging this. That there are so many people involved in this. There is already so much good work that has gone into this. You're not backdooring it. You're not sabotaging it. You're not getting on the phone and causing problems. You're not emailing people with what a bunch of trash everything is.
We owe it to them to do things right. We owe it to them to do it right. We owe it to them to do it right. This is not a hard thing.
You be a part of doing it right, not a part of bitching.
I was asked for input. I provided input as a person who was involved as a professional consultant for years, handling exactly this type of thing. I'm telling you, you may get bids. I think you're running the risk of narrowing your
You have
options.
not been a professional
wasting a lot of
consultant in 40 years.
That's not true, but
I'm not
you
aware
know,
that you've ever been a professional consultant, to be honest with you.
You're not aware of
It's
a
not
lot.
40 years ago.
But I am not
It's not.
obligated. I am
So
not
let's move
obligated
it
to
forward.
conform.
Let's just go and carry on.
Kirk, do you, you've been involved in a number of proposals. Do you believe that we get anywhere by, instead of doing 1, 2, instead of having, contact with people and say, walking with different potential consultants through this process, do we get anywhere any better? And we're not dictating that to them in the weeds. I feel like we're giving examples of things that we would love to see. If they come back and say, you know what, that's a phase 2, or you can't, you're not going to get that in the first round. I fail to see the negative in proceeding to have those conversations, to put this out and have those conversations.
So the RFP includes project objectives that we discussed as a group. So we have those objectives. We put together a conceptual scope of work. As we've outlined in the RFP, it's a conceptual scope of work with the expectation being that we see innovation and creativity coming back from the responders. If they dictate back the scope of work we have, to me, they're off the list immediately because we want to see innovation and creativity. The other piece of this too, clearly, this isn't, I have some experience in this. Katie has some experience in this, but at the end of the day, I think the best judge of whether or not this RFP is relevant will be the responders. If we don't get any responses, that's going to tell us that.
Right.
They can go back to the drawing board, and if we have to reevaluate it and redo it, we can. But again, keep in mind the scope of works that come back to us are all negotiable. It's part of the negotiation process of what they send back to us. So it isn't going to be they submit us a scope of work and a price, we agree upon it, just go ahead. There's going to be some interim steps here to make sure what they're delivering to us is what we want, and also what we're asking of them they're able to do. So I think there's still some room for negotiation discussions on this as we go along, and we may learn through the process.
That's my belief. I think we're going to learn through the process. If nobody bids, or if people come back and say, this is widely ambitious and it's not something that you're going to accomplish within a respectable time frame, or you have to break it into different parts. That's fine, but just
pissing on it for the sake of pissing on it is nonsense. You guys have put together some terrific RFPs. Kirk, I've been here for 5 years with you. Put together some terrific ones on really big projects. Really big projects.
Planning is not a
Katie, I've watched your work. What you've done here, I think, is really good. And like Kelly says, if there's something wrong, we're going to find it out, and it will be pretty fast. It will be. And if I remember correctly, Stacy, when the RFP went out on the nursing home, it did not take long to figure out that we had to tweak that.
correct.
Yeah, did not figure it, and it's not something we haven't done before. It's not something to be afraid of, and it's not something to poo-poo. I think we're ready to go.
Okay. So then, would someone like to make a motion to approve the authorization to advertise?
I will move to approve. Well, I'm going to move to approve the Cumberland County Strategic Plan request for proposals.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will second that. It is moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 No,
All opposed?
no.
Gary is opposed. Okay. Is there any other business to come
Oh,
before?
we still have to approve the authorization to advertise.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. There's two separate.
So I'll
Okay.
move to approve the authorization to advertise the Cumberland County Strategic Plan for proposals to include submissions through PennBid.
I will second that. So it's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jean, for catching that. I had it marked
No.
off. And Kirk, Katie, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss at this time as it relates to moving the project forward?
No, we have, we've talked with folks at PennBid. We should be able to have it posted hopefully tomorrow.
Good.
And move it ahead. And we'll see what we get. We'll keep the board informed as we have pre-bid conference and other feedback we receive from potential respondents.
That would be
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you. Thank you both for all the work you put into it. I really appreciate it. And is there any other business to come before the board at this time? Hearing none,
Well, I move to adjourn.
we are adjourned.
Thanks.
Thank you.